Let's start rolling.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Who Watches the Watchers. I'm Tavon, and today I got with me Julian. We got over here? Jason, and we got Brian with me. Anything y'all want to, tell them how to follow you, find you?
I'm on Instagram at The Damaging.
I was waiting for you to spell it for him.
Nah,
We'll come back to it.
IG Tiger Helly 19, Facebook, me, Snapchat Tiger Helly 19.
Yeah, I'm me on Facebook. and my YouTube is also just me. I got my one YouTube video on there from about almost 2 years ago now.
Hey, something.
I'll soon be adding to it though.
All right. So how's everybody weekend going though?
It's good. It's
weekend?
good. Productive.
Cool.
Staying away from them fat chicks.
Hey man, we can't discuss. We love everybody, man. We love everybody.
We love everybody.
Hey.
I have a type.
We may have a type, but we love everybody.
Yeah, we love everybody.
We love everybody.
I ain't got nothing wrong with fat chicks.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. I have no issue at all with it.
Oh God! What we got? Speaking of, sexual encounters and women. Let's start with wrestling this week. And I guess your boy Vince McMahon has been getting into some publicity from some legal actions he did by apparently paying off up to 4 women now for some sexual misconduct. Any thoughts, comments?
Ooh. On the optics, this looks bad. It looks bad. He shelled away, what was it, 12
said
million?
like 12
Up to
per person.
12 million.
12 per person.
12 million per person?
Yeah.
I thought it was 12 million as a whole.
I think he went 12 per person.
Wow.
He went up to 12 million, but on the
$48
optics,
million a piece. Oh my God.
that's a lot of hush money.
That's just the ones we know of.
Woo.
But here's the thing. I mean, nothing's going to happen to Vince McMahon at the end of the day unless sponsors really start pulling their sponsorship from that program. It's going to be a business as usual thing. I don't think anything is going to happen. I mean, on the optics, it looks bad. It's really looking bad because now you're going to have a lot of these wrestlers who are going online. You're saying that they're complaining, so maybe they're going to have some merit on this now.
As Vince McMahon would say, "It was me the whole time, you son of a bitch." But I personally think he's not going to be able to dodge this one just because of the climate of how things are right now and just how people look at women in general and women's rights and everything going on right now is not a good look if he stays in the position that he's in right now. And I don't know, I just thought it was kind of dumb when he came out right after everything dropped. And it came out that he came out on SmackDown and made an appearance, but really didn't say nothing, but just had to show his face. To me, that was all ego because, he's Vince McMahon. I feel like he's untouchable, but I think this time might be it.
I agree. I mean, it's one of them things where the fact that someone kept receipts on him, this whole time. And usually when something like this comes about, I always think that the money got funny to the people he paid off. So now it's time to get a little bit more. Like it feels like it's about to turn into some kind of extortion. Destroy his character a little bit more. Just more ways for the the victims, to bring more light to herself.
What if they weren't the ones that actually exposed it? There got to be other people involved.
Yes, it usually is. Just thinking about it, it usually is someone else that coerces it. That's saying, hey, this happened. This is the right time to speak up on it because you might get more out of it if that's their their reasoning. You know, and some people just does things to them mentally, and they just can't shake it, and it puts them in a spot where talking about it makes them feel better, and it might not be about the money. But me personally, I just think that most of it's done because people's money got funny. Like something similar to happened to Bill Cosby. I'm like Jason or my brother. I don't think the outcome is going to be the same, for Vince McMahon like how it was for Bill Cosby.
Well, yeah,
I don't think he'll do no time in prison.
They're not trying to persecute him. They already came to an agreement, and what's done is done.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think this blemishes his character, right?
He is an owner of a company right now.
Correct. But isn't Linda McMahon running it technically now?
I think it's his daughter now.
Or the daughter. So it comes to now here's my point. Is what will actually happen to him. He's not going to get persecuted because they already came to an agreement, and he's not technically running a company. He's more just another character, so to say. And now he probably got to stay out the limelight for a few years, but he pretty much
Vince
got
McMahon.
away with it. What you gonna do?
Vince McMahon is an ego-driven dude. I mean,
Even if it was 5 more that came out, if they all agreed in court, and then he pretty much he got it. He took that win.
Now, if this was a legal issue, this is a whole different conversation.
Yeah, but they agreed.
They settled with this. So,
Correct.
I mean, honestly, the best thing what he should do, but he's not going to do it.
He's gonna stay out of the picture.
Would be to step down altogether and just get the hell out now. He's 75 years old.
I doubt we'll see him that often.
No. He's not
He
stepping
did
down.
his little ego trip and was like, "I'm here," and came out and walked off. He ain't really say much, but that was just to show, like, yeah, I'm still bigger than all that. So, but I doubt
And
we'll
he
see him
knows
that
it.
much.
I mean, he knows it. He's a rich dude with a lot of money.
They're probably gonna make more women pay-per-views, main events, but
Best way to
I think
describe Vince McMahon is controversy creates cash.
I think he got away with it, man.
He's going to get away with it, but at the end of the day, I mean, on the optics, he's 75 years old, and you can tell his creative genius is not reflecting on what is coming up to par now. He's outdated himself. I mean, if you really say it, he's
Definitely would say he's outdated.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say outdated. It's a lot more we can say, really. I mean,
The product, their product is
is
stale.
old.
The product is stale.
I'm not saying that AEW is the best thing that's going on, but
Hey,
they got a younger audience right now, and they're doing a lot of things that's a lot different from what the WWE is doing. And it's kind of crazy because the WWE made a habit of adapting with the times. Now it seems like they don't know which way they're going. It's everywhere right now.
I don't know. We could do that for another topic if y'all want to get into it real in depth. But okay, at which point? I mean, I can only speak for myself, but pretty much after the Attitude Era, I had to pick and choose which parts I ended up watching. It wasn't like it was constant keeping up and innovating. They were trying to tailor towards their channel. So who was it? USA, Sci-Fi, or whoever they were with at the time. And saying, making sure we keep everything PG or PG-13 at most. And then storylines kept getting more family friendly. And I mean, there isn't the talent. Well, in my eyes, there's not talent, not many. There's some, but there's not as much talent as it was when we were, in the early 2000s, late 90s, even before, where these guys were bigger than life with their characters. I mean, I don't know how you feel about some of the newer guys. I'm not really a fan of Roman Reigns, and honestly, I wasn't too big of a fan of John Cena, but he just got force-fed. He got force-fed to us, so. But speaking of which, while we're on the topic, the past
We can't graze over that one though. John Cena's alright, man. I'll rock with John Cena.
Because of what?
For one, I don't think anyone's ever been on top as long as he was. I mean, we can say that he was put in those positions, by the company, yeah, but he also stepped up to the plate when it was time to put on those matches. And when it was time to put people over, he did. Like Bryan Danielson, well, he's Daniel Bryan there, CM Punk, AJ Styles, all of our favorites
And
from the
all
indies.
three of the people that you announced are where?
They're gone. They're in AEW. But that's not a reflection of John Cena. That's not a reflection of him. He put them in those spots where they can demand bigger money to go somewhere else.
He is.
If not for his star power, who do those guys wrestle in WWE?
He is the good boy of WWE. Just
Yeah.
everything they asked him to do, he did, and they rewarded him by keeping him in the picture for how long he been in there.
And
he is Cyclops, and you like Cyclops. I don't like Cyclops.
That all might be true, but
That's
at the same
why I can't rock
time,
with him.
but at the same
I don't
time,
like
it's all
Cyclops.
about delivering. And when
I
he was
guess.
in the ring with those guys, they
Yes,
delivered.
If that's your style,
And
that
you can't
like it.
you can't
I
do it.
couldn't-
It's not a one man show.
I get it. I get it.
He sold for them dudes. All that. None and none of them say nothing bad about him.
And I'll say this in his defense. I mean, a lot of guys have been put in his position and pretty much either folded under the pressure or something crazy's happened. And the fact that he's risen above all of that, I mean, you got to give him props for that. I mean, that man went through the Hammerstein Ballroom in a ECW crowd and walked out alive and showed up. So, I mean, it's a testament of his character. I mean, he's got some thick skin, so all power to him. I mean,
And he's granted the most Make-A-Wish out of anybody ever.
Okay.
So that means
I'll
people
give him that.
want him around them.
I'll give you that, but
I'm hit or miss on Cena. There's some Cenas I love, like Dr. Thugonomics, heel Cena, I love, but I felt like WWE rode that train a little too long, and they didn't make the other stars that they should have made. Like, you could have had John Cena, who he was, but there were a lot of stars that weren't made in that time.
true.
Just like right now, what we're seeing with Roman Reigns, it's replaying itself,
man, it's
and you hitched your wagon full speed on one guy,
and y'all gonna be
and
you
then
gonna be
neglected
saying the same
everything
thing?
else. But then I am currently okay with Cena because when he came back to feud with Roman Reigns, and he cut them promos, he cut 2-3 straight promos.
He killed him.
Killed him.
He
Killed him on the mic. And then they had to do the fourth one where they weren't even going to have Cena there. Roman had to cut his promo by himself out there. That got me back on board with Cena.
He did kill him.
You know.
He did kill him.
But I like what he's doing now by staying away and not being there. You know.
Smart moves.
And he's doing what he criticized The Rock for, but you know.
But he also apologized.
Yeah, he did acknowledge that because he gets it
There's
now.
no life after wrestling. You got to get your money, man.
He gets it now, and I mean, I personally probably like John Cena the actor more than I like John Cena the wrestler.
Speaking of John Cena.
I think I'm more into John Cena the person than I am John Cena the wrestler.
Yeah, he cool.
And we'll get on this topic later. Yeah, he cool. Like, all right, he cool. Yeah, cool. All right, I get it. He a nice guy. I'm just talking about his personality as a wrestler. But either way, we'll be talking about this topic later. But apparently, John Cena wanted to play the Thing in the upcoming Fantastic Four remake. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Other wrestling news we got. It was the 25th anniversary of probably one of the biggest heel turns / group formations in wrestling history, and that is when Hulk Hogan turned his back on WCW and thus formed NWO with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. I'm pretty sure, you guys as younger kids, we all kind of remember that moment, and WCW definitely played a part in how we view wrestling today, especially with that NWO organization that they formed. But thoughts? Anything you want to reflect on?
Oh man,
Definitely.
It was probably the greatest moment that's happened in wrestling history. Because if you really look at what the NWO did, for those who really don't know the origin of this whole thing, the NWO was based off of a Japanese angle in, what was it, New Japan, I think? I think it was New Japan where they did something like that. Eric Bischoff caught wind of what they did with it and said, well, let's try and do it over here and let's see what happened. So you had, was it Scott Hall and Kevin Nash contracts was running up with the WWF at the time.
Yeah.
and they
They
came
came
out
over to-
on live. Was it live? Was it Nitro? Right?
Nitro.
Yeah.
He came out on
He
Nitro.
came out and then he cut that promo, and everybody was. I know me and my brother. We were watching. Like, wasn't he just on Raw like the previous couple of weeks?
That was before those 90-day no compete clauses was in their contracts.
Yeah, and then I think what made this even brilliant is they teased it like, who was this third guy? 'Cause I personally thought it was like Shawn Michaels or Sting. Because I'm like, it was Hulk Hogan was an afterthought. That was like the last person on planet I was thinking I was gonna be like the bad guy in this whole thing.
Right.
And they built this thing up very well. I mean, they kind of blurred with real and fake. This is pre-internet. So,
And we as younger kids thought it was real.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure a lot of people join gangs because of it.
Right.
they're
They
responsible
Especially
for
when,
it.
when they went the
life.
red and black and the white and black. We was going around school now. We red and black. Now we white and black.
Wrestling's version of the Blood and the Crips. But and then just the build up for it. I mean, and they had them little vignette videos like, who's this third man? And then, okay, then the match happened. The match wasn't that bad, believe it or not.
Yeah, it
And
was.
then I personally thought it was
Who was he
Sting.
with? Was he with Macho Man? He was him and Macho Man.
Wasn't the Macho and Sting
It
versus
was
Luger.
Luger.
Sting and Luger? Yeah, that's right, Sting and Luger. But how did Macho Man end up out there? Because Macho Man was the one
He
that
was
took the
in
leg
the
drop.
match.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Sting,
Oh, yeah, it was
Luger,
a-
Macho Man.
So it was
Because like Hulk Hogan was like an afterthought in that around that time. Not necessarily an afterthought, but he wasn't involved in none of the major story stuff that was going on.
'Cause I thought Hogan was going to run out. And
wasn't he
He was
out?
supposed to come out and help.
Yeah.
He was supposed to come out and help them.
Well, even previous to that, wasn't he out? Wasn't he doing? That's when he was doing the TV show Thunder and stuff.
Paradise.
So I don't even think at the time he wasn't, because I mean you couldn't have Hulk Hogan in WCW and him not be the focal point of a major storyline. I think he was out for a period of time and doing all the movies and the shows he was doing.
Yeah.
So I don't even think anybody. I mean he was out of our brains as far as people coming in there because he was gone for a while, and that's when he came out and did what he did. Definitely a top 5 wrestling moment for me all
and
time.
if you really look at it, a lot of people's careers changed because of that. I mean, a lot of that industry changed from just that one angle. I mean, it reinvigorated wrestling, period. I mean, having Hulk Hogan doing the ungodly and turning into a bad guy, that was...
I mean,
I remember me and Brian, we were watching it. We would just, our jaws would hit the ground. We was like, whoa.
I mean it was
And then see him cut that heel promo at that when he just started throwing it at the fans. I was like,
started the Monday Night Wars.
I mean, it was
Here it is, right here.
I mean, you have to say this is probably like one of the greatest angles in history.
And it completely shocked the whole audience.
The
They
leg drop.
He came out
crashed
to
the
help.
ring.
Look at that man with the long hair. He about to cry. He's stop.
But you know, they got in some serious.
Look, he covered his eyes. My man said like this.
Y'all didn't hear
But it was
the
a genius
stuff that
play.
happened.
It
They
was a
said
genius play.
apparently Turner got phone calls in that network, and the Make-A-Wish people got mad because
Yo, when Sting gets thrown out the ring, it's, the way he falls out. I don't know. I laugh so hard. I laugh every time.
I mean, apparently nobody knew it. I mean,
And then the way Nick Patrick gets thrown out the ring is hilarious.
They don't hit refs anymore.
Huh?
They don't hit refs anymore.
They don't.
I think
Is that something that they had to like
You know what?
put
I
in their
haven't seen a
contract?
ref.
They don't attack. Back in this days, they used to hit the refs a lot.
not as often as they.
Yeah,
Not now, they
it's been a
don't.
minute since I've seen a ref catch a
Like the only time the refs get hit now is by accident, like somebody died, jump out the way or something.
straight.
The ref-
Yeah, but I mean,
And speaking of R.I.P. Scott Hall.
I mean, this
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, seriously, if you really look at it in
Say hello
retrospect,
to the bad guy. Man.
this changed everything, and you wouldn't be. I mean, we've had a lot of factions growing up. You had the Horsemen. You had what was it? DX. Well, DX was kind of birthed out of this. I mean, if you really
Yeah,
look
that
at
was
it.
their response. That was their response. Right.
I mean, they were basically like, look what they're doing over here. They kind of brought realism back to it because this was. Yeah, I say this is probably what I mean. I'm 40.
And can we also acknowledge the fact that when this happened, Hogan's got his regular clean shaven, the mustache, the goatee going on. But then when he cut that first promo, like the next couple days later, he had the 5 o'clock shadow out of nowhere. I love that. And there was no explanation needed. There was no explanation. We didn't ask any questions. He's a bad guy. He's got a 5 o'clock shadow. He's a bad guy. That's what it is.
You have a beard, you're a bad guy.
Like,
I mean, if you really look at it, I mean, Hulk Hogan kind of really reinvented himself.
he did.
I mean, he went
100%.
from a likable dude to a guy that was a lovable bad.
Look at all those beer cans and soda cans and bottles getting thrown at
I
him.
wonder this is why, you know, some of the reason why you go to a sporting event, they got those little plastic cups that they can't catch air.
They just floating.
No.
Can't
You
get
know,
too far. He like,
the real reason is the Malice in the Palace.
Oh yeah, that's
If Ron Artest ain't never got hit with that beer cup,
that's a whole
We gotta
nother
do one on
conversation.
a retrospect on that. We gotta do one on that too.
The slide and punch is my favorite.
Yeah.
hey, that
yeah.
looked like a superhero movie, boy.
But I mean, if you really look at
He said, "Call the man." He said, "All right."
I mean, if you look at what the NWO did, I mean, you look at it, Hogan changed his career. Hogan changed. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash got a lot of guys paid because of this angle.
On top of themselves.
And it was
Sting had a
that's my
career
movie. It was a
rebirth out of this. I mean, if that man went from a surfer guy to he was the Crow at this point. I mean, if you look, a lot of it.
That's before I liked Sting.
But he's there now. No, you're there now.
Yeah, I'm
It
there.
was a good angle. I mean, it was a good angle. I wish something could be replicated like this, but it's not. I think that.
Won't
was
never
like-
say never, but there definitely been attempts to try to.
I think
Bullet
right
Club.
now,
Bullet Club was the one,
but
but
I think what kills it now is everybody's all on the internet, and it gives it. And stop it. Stay off the
and
net.
we're almost expecting some type of betrayal to happen now.
And side note, not to get off track, but I feel like the NWO, like you liked who you like as a kid. You like this guy, you like that guy. But I always felt like before the NWO, everybody's favorite wrestlers, or you cheered for the good guy. You liked the good guy. That's who you wanted to win. Even though you might have had a bad guy that you liked here and there, at least for me. But once the NWO happened, yeah, they got booed. Yeah, they were the heels. But then they were so cool that everybody liked them. Then you start, like, you used to watch it. You'll sit there, watch, everybody was against the NWO. They hated them. What's those guys doing here? But every week, every Monday, you would see more NWO
it felt
shows,
like
shirts
one
in
more
the
person got
be-
added to the group.
and then be more NWO shirts in the crowd. And you keep looking, and now I feel like, oh, they're cheering the NWO more than they're cheering WCW, which is the opposite effect of what they wanted. But I feel like that was the beginning of how now it's cool to like the heel,
Be the bad guy.
and I feel like that's what really started it.
And you know what it started from? It started from 2 words.
Hey yo,
There it is.
hey yo.
You gotta look.
Soon
Scott
as
Hall,
you said,
the
"Hey
bad
yo,"
guy,
that
man.
crowd wanted to know what was up.
I feel like the Scott Hall. Well, those are probably 3 of the most charismatic guys in the industry. I mean,
Scott Hall's in my
hands
top
down. I mean,
3.
they may not
Kevin
be
Nash.
the best- I mean, they're responsible.
He
for
was
a
the
lot.
muscle.
Yeah.
Who? Nash?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I put it like this.
Scott Hall was
Scott Hall's
definitely.
mouth was.
He was definitely the
It was,
charisma.
you know what it was? It was the fact that people had just saw him as Diesel, and then he was
Yeah.
over there, and
But
everyone
Scott
knew they were
Hall
friends.
embodied the
Yeah,
NWO.
charisma.
His
Yeah.
whole
He sold
bad
it all.
guy, his whole bad guy, and embracing the bad guy role was Scott Hall.
Like
Yeah,
He
he
sold the whole thing.
even when he was a face
sold
as
it.
Razor Ramon, he was still like, I didn't feel like he was a face. He was just cool,
was in
and he was
And
he
that's
was
what
him.
NWO represented.
Yeah.
It was cool to be the bad guy.
Yeah,
He definitely
Like-
Scott Hall to me, he was the the one that if he wasn't as good as he was, then that wouldn't have worked.
yeah.
But the fact that he sold that each and every week before that Bash to the Beach, that made them who they were, and still even to this
It's
day,
just like everything
is
he
it
did.
25 years now?
Yeah, I think it's 28.
Like, it's that-
believe it or not.
25.
It's that one-
25?
I love that
Oh,
one
wow.
scene where they're in the ring, and he gets somebody pegged him with the soda, the cup clean, and it hits him all the sodas all on, and he wasn't like what he did. He smoothed back the hair was like this. I was like that. Like he's just that guy.
He was,
One
He
number
was-
little
he was
number little
the
degreaser.
Like
threw
he
in there.
rolled with everything. And then when he would come out and do the survey, he was like, "Who you come here to see?" He said, "WCW." Oh, you here to see And then boom, and the crowd was with it. Like I feel like that was the beginning of.
And then he said one more for the good guys.
Yeah, he was like, no, one more for the good guys.
I mean, he definitely was lightning in a bottle. I mean, you got to say, if it wasn't for those three personalities, I don't think that angle would have worked. I mean, if you look at it, it's 25 years later, and it still is as popular as it was.
I'm about to get me an NWO shirt tomorrow. I'm ordering one.
I mean,
Or
that's
WWE.
a testament.
It's
of
on
what they
WWE.
did.
I'm gonna order one.
You gotta give them their props for it. I mean, I'm not really the biggest Hulk Hogan fan, but
Yeah,
I'm hardly a Hogan fan. I was glad
yeah.
Ultimate Warrior dumped him on his head.
I personally grew up a Hulkamaniac, but that was just wrestling wise. And then you got older and found out who Hulk Hogan, the
Terry
man,
Bollea.
was. Yeah, who Terry Bollea was, and it was like, So I'm always torn with that because I know who he is now. But I'd be lying if I ever said that, I wasn't a Hulkamaniac.
I wasn't though growing up.
I
I
was.
was a Warrior. Give me the Warrior, Texas Tornado, Mr. Perfect. Give me those guys all day. But I just couldn't get over.
I was cool on
Hulk
Warrior,
Hogan.
man. I didn't know what he was talking about.
And I think that's what made him so cool to me because I didn't know what he was
Fuel
saying.
up the rocket ships. No, you fueling up the coke, man. Chill, man.
He was different.
like that.
That's
That
another-
very different.
Let me tell you
So,
something, Gene. Like, that's the only thing I like he ever said.
Yeah.
Because I know when he said that, something about to get said.
yeah, Hulk Hogan had the early '90s though. He definitely did. He had a TV show.
Oh, yeah, rock and roll wrestling.
What was the one? It was like a fake Baywatch.
Oh, yeah, he
Him
had
and
Thunder,
the-
Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah.
On some real shit, I did like Suburban.
That I did like. Yeah, Suburban Command was good. If I got to tip my hat anywhere, it's there.
But yeah, so here's to NWO 25 anniversary.
Yeah, too sweet.
But in other news, we got some MCU news. All right, let's see where we're gonna start with. So one thing we got is Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio is apparently going to reprise their roles as Daredevil and Kingpin, or Wilson Fisk, in the upcoming Echo series. I mean, I think everybody, is kind of aware that they have a presence in MCU and probably will have a bigger presence going forward. My question to you is, if they do reprise their roles, is this PG-13 environment suitable for them, or do we have to keep it to where Netflix established those standards at?
This is gonna be tricky because the Netflix show, they never really established if it was like part of the MCU.
No, they did.
Well,
They did.
Well,
They talked about the events in New York. They in their early on in like the first or second season, they talked about how the aliens attacked New York and some others. So they did establish that they will be in. They are in the MCU.
But as it went along, it kind of felt like the show was its own thing. I think personally, I think they can make it work depending on how they introduce them. Because you're going to have.
Well, we already got introduced
they got
to at
introduced.
least Wilson Fisk more.
Them two, period. 'Cause
Yeah,
Daredevil was in No Way Home.
we didn't get to see the extent of his ability
Yeah.
in this new role, but we definitely got to see Wilson Fisk get trashed.
Allegedly, we don't know.
But-
I mean, if
Well,
you read the Echo book, I believe she shot the Kingpin.
And which happened in the
In the show, but I don't know if they're going to really go that far with it. Because you got to look at it, they're owned by Disney, so it's some things that they will do, and some things they're kind of borderline pushing.
Let's save that thought. I think I'm gonna bring this back up in a few minutes. I'm bring that thought up in a few
I think
minutes.
me
All
and
right?
you on the same.
Yep. And I don't want to hit it just yet because we got some other stuff to talk about. But any of you guys' thoughts down there about them reprising their roles?
I don't watch none of them shows.
I'm
I'm
for
terrible.
it. I'm for it just because it expands, what they got. Bring the more the merrier. The more familiar the merrier, I should say, because a lot of what they got going on now is a lot of people were confused. They feel like if they haven't read the comic books, then they're not going to be included. So I think that's what's drawing a lot of people away from what they're doing right now because they're like, oh, I don't know who this person is, so maybe I'm not cool enough to talk with the people at the Comic Cons or the stuff like that. So, I think the more they bring in characters who haven't already been in the MCU but people are familiar with, I think it works better for them in the long run.
I'll say this: Charlie Hunnam was a damn good Daredevil.
Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't think anybody would disagree.
He was really
him
good. I mean,
playing
to see the fan
Daredevil.
cry of him, of people wanting him to come back, speaks volumes on what he did in that show in 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought the second season was awesome. The first season was good. I think the second season he really picked up and started understanding that character a lot better. So I'm excited to see where they go. And Vincent D'Onofrio was awesome as Kingpin. That was
He did do a good take. I do give him that.
That was a name that I really didn't think about really playing him at first until you actually see him play. That's another guy.
I do
I just think
appreciate
about
their
Private
take.
Pile. Whenever I see him, I just think of Private Pile.
But if you really look, Vincent D'Onofrio's got range.
Yes, he does.
He's
A
really
lot of
good.
people really
He's really good.
don't really give him a lot of crap. That dude can act. And he's done some amazing work. If you really look at his body work that he's did, he's awesome. I like him as Kingpin.
Yeah.
He
Definitely,
played
they
on-
have to keep the cast. I think it comes down to how different of a version are we going to get them now that they have to abide the rules officially of MCU.
But to me, that doesn't really. I don't think that hinders what they can do.
And given their characters, it's not really for Daredevil I'm worried about. It's more about Kingpin. This is what I'm seeing from the end of the Hawkeye series. I felt he should have been a little bit more violent.
Yeah, that's where I was getting ready.
And he also might have got written in late too.
Possibly.
He might have been late to the
but
party.
I also think they had to keep it in the confines of a kids or family TV show. Whereas in the Netflix series, him smashing a random dude's head in the door is episode 2.
Yeah.
You still might get that, but you just might not.
Maybe.
You know how.
But the
come on,
part
you-
of
you-
his menacing thing is
There's ways around
it's
that.
working up here, and he's really incredibly intelligent, but it ain't all there at the same time.
I'll say this.
There's ways around that. Like they don't just because the Netflix shows are actually showing the grotesque violence.
Oh, they did.
And then they don't do it, and this one doesn't. It's not going to take away from who he is.
But if
'cause
they
it's
don't
still
give
up to
him, if
to
they don't give
deliver it.
him the supernatural powers of his comic book character and just make him a larger male, and that's with violent tendencies, then that takes away when you have to show him in a PG-13 context. Because I wasn't really afraid of him in the Hawkeye series, but when I saw him wilding and he picked his spots, he picked. Oh, okay, Punisher in jail with me. Y'all get him in there. Make sure he tied up, and I'm gonna show y'all about how I get down. And he whooped Punisher's ass in that little cell room.
But that's my thing. That's my thing is like That's my thing is that they still can do that.
Maybe
They can still do it.
I think they are.
Now the biggest difference between R-rated and 13 is the blood and using the F word and stuff like that. So that stuff can be done, but it's
have
like
faith.
if you
I'll say
want
I
to
have
see
faith.
if you want to see your character get beat show all the blood. That's the only thing that big difference is.
I'll say I'll have faith because it is in Punisher, right? But again, I'm gonna bring this topic back up. I'm gonna bring this in like 10 minutes. Go ahead. But in like 10 minutes, we're gonna bring this topic right back up.
Gotta just say this real quick. I think Disney is kind of borderline on the fence with this because the Netflix series just went on the Disney Plus and they kept everything intact.
Correct.
They didn't take nothing out.
Correct.
So that's kind of hope that maybe they know
They also have the Deadpool.
that coming out, and apparently they said Deadpool. They're
gonna
the
try to
writing
keep- they're gonna
notes
try
that
to
they
keep it.
got. They told them to
Keep it how it is.
keep doing. They
Yup.
basically said do it how it is, and apparently they said the writers of the film had to reconfirm. They were like, "Are we doing this within the confines of the MCU, or are we just going to go balls to the wall?" Apparently, they're saying they're going to let the handcuffs off on them and just let them do what they. I think they're going to experiment. I think if I'll say this, if Deadpool is a success with a hard R for a Disney film, this may open up some possibilities on what they're going to do with some of their harder content.
There's another Deadpool movie coming.
Such as like a Blade.
Maybe 2-3 years.
That's like a Blade or a Ghost Rider or the
Deadpool's
Midnight
out.
Sun or a Doctor Strange. I mean, the rating system, I really don't care about it. I mean, a good story is a good story, no matter if it's PG-13 or rated R.
That is true.
So,
That is true.
I feel like there's certain franchises that warrant an R,
yeah.
and certain ones that don't. I feel like there's very few comic. Well, not to say comic because you have like Image and Pitt and all that. There's very few. How should I word it? Marvel properties that really need an R. Like Punisher needs an R, to me. I can't. Yeah, Deadpool needs an R to me, but most everything else, I feel like most of the majority of Marvel can fit under a PG-13. Like I liken it to like a Predator franchise. Like I tell the Predator franchise needs an R. Like you can't do. We seen a rated PG-13 Predator movie.
And that was a
looks like, but there's just certain properties that need an R. There's certain properties that don't need an R. But then you get into that funny area where you got the properties that have aspects or characters from an R franchise, but now you're overlapping with a PG-13 franchise. So then where do you, because you might have a Daredevil, even Spider. I mean, all of them come in contact with Punisher in the comics. So now where does that leave you when, you got a crossover with Punisher now? What do you do with that movie, or what do you do with that interaction when we know what Punisher does versus, we're not going to see a rated R Spider-Man. I would think a rated R Spider-Man movie would just be weird. Like I wouldn't want to. I don't need that. But that's the only thing as far as just talking about ratings.
And again,
just
that's
talking
why
about ratings.
I'm saying it really only pertaining to certain characters.
Yeah.
Right? And we have a going expectation now because of what Netflix did. So if their new iterations don't live up to the Netflix series, then we're gonna kind of be like, damn, well, y'all need to give it back a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing, Daredevil in every season had this one shot scene.
The fights.
Hallway, the staircase. If they don't keep that going, they're gonna have a problem with me.
I think if anything, it'll get better.
They gonna have a
because they're
problem
going to
with
have a little bit more of a budget now. They can really.
You seen some of these Marvel shows?
I wouldn't say. I said you getting what you're getting. Some of the budget. I said some of the budget.
Well, hold on. What show do you think didn't have a decent budget?
Well, I will say I felt one that got rushed.
What's that?
Moon Knight. And I only felt Moon Knight got rushed in certain episodes. There were like maybe 2 episodes.
WandaVision had a real good budget with that.
They gave them the best. I felt Loki got a good budget, but I felt and kind of this Miss Marvel. I'm not really, but Moon Knight. There was just something about it that just part of it didn't feel fleshed out. I don't know if it was the jumping from like London to Egypt.
Well, that's a complex character.
When he got into Egypt, that whole scene when they first arrived in Egypt and him fighting the people, something just didn't feel right. Something didn't seem. I don't know. It wasn't the whole thing. There's probably like 2 episodes where I didn't really agree with it. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So, like for me, I think Moon Knight was. It was good for what it was, but it's not memorable. The only thing that was memorable is Oscar Isaac's performance.
Yeah, he played that good. I'll give him that.
He put 110% into something that he probably himself was like, wait a minute, you know what? This might be a little flat, but it's up to me, to drive this character because what comes after this is what's more important than what's happening right now.
And sorry to get off topic. I'm about to get way off topic on y'all, but this topic just kind of popped into my head because we're talking about Egypt. And earlier, before you got here, we were talking about the old 90s cartoons. But y'all remember Mummies Alive?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
I remember the name, but I don't remember the show.
Mummy Alive.
I remember
It was like 3 of them. One of them only had one arm. It was Ra.
Yeah.
The chick. It was a bulkier one.
You always had the muscle. You always got the muscle, the big muscle, the woman.
Google can tell me.
Mummies Alive was that. We're gonna have another episode dedicated just for '90s nostalgia.
Surely, man.
Yeah.
Late '80s, '90s nostalgia.
I'm for that one, boy.
I guess
You-
my phone
you-
heard y'all.
and
Oh, I remember this.
And you gotta, but you gotta also break that into like cartoons,
We
then
can do
movies,
it.
and it's so
We can
much
talk
to.
about the old Nickelodeon
I've
from like
been-
the early, like the mid '90s when they were doing the Salute Your Shorts,
Salute Shore was early '90s.
and it was another one.
I have
Adventures
this
of
whole
Pete and Pete,
idea
and
that
some
they
other
need to
one.
come with a Nick classic, but we can shelf that. We talk about
can
that.
say that.
All right,
We're gonna do
that's
that
my
for
thing.
another.
Yeah.
When we got a slow week news, we're gonna do that. All right.
Oh, but just to are we going back to what's it called? Echo.
Go ahead.
The caveat for that one is that it was kind of breaking news this weekend that for that series that they're casting Gambit's adopted parents for that show.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing I heard is that, and this is one of the talking points, is Jason Segel from How I Met Your Mother. He's been in some other things. The taller, goofier
One is Sarah
white
Marshall.
guy.
Sarah Marshall, right?
Yeah,
I think,
that's
yep.
what I'm thinking, so.
He apparently has been in rumors to play the Thing. And somebody told me that he's supposed to have a little cameo in the She-Hulk series.
I seen that too.
Interesting.
I'm not with that.
I'll say
I don't hate it.
100% against it.
I'm not going to hate on any casting decision until we see the actual.
I don't hate it.
If it is what it is, then I'd like to be proven wrong. But to me, I personally would like to see the Thing be somebody African American.
And then when you said it last week, and I had to Google it because I'm like, the name sound familiar. But when we Googled it, you said the boy from
Trevon Rhodes from Predator, the Predator,
and the other
He
big
was
role
my
I
choice
remember him
for,
from
Panther remake
was
if they was
the movie with Sandra Bullock where they couldn't look or they couldn't hear. They couldn't look.
Bird Box.
Bird Box. He was in that, right?
Was
He's
it?
the black guy, right?
I never watched Bird Box. I don't know.
Well, you
Nope.
good.
I wasn't on a Netflix
How
train
you-
at the
how you-
time.
I haven't seen it either.
I just never
Yeah,
sat down and watched it.
It's not a bad movie, and for Netflix movies goes, it's up there.
Okay.
It's up there. It's
But
one of the better
they get
ones.
decent budgets for their movies.
Yeah, but you know what the thing is about Netflix movies? It's their ending. They have good concepts, and it start off good, but then by the time you get to the ending, you be like, "What the fuck happened?"
Well, that's
It was
on-
such a good
That's
premise,
on the filmmaker.
but Bird Box was one of the ones that I like. And,
I
he was in
forgot
that,
You
yep.
just said that. I forgot all about that movie.
I haven't seen a Netflix movie since probably Bright, so it's been a minute for me.
Oh, wow.
They supposed to be getting this. Well, probably not now, but I remember they were talking about
Gray
getting
Man's
this.
coming out, and that looks really good.
That's in 2 weeks, right? Or next week?
Nah.
The
Soon.
22nd?
It's
Oh,
soon.
is
It's soon.
Is that the one with my boy Gosling?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
another.
ride with whatever.
You
that
think
dude
Ryan
is.
Gosling ended up in MCU?
Well, you know he's up for Nova.
Oh,
He's up for Nova. They said that he's
I
already
thought
had
they would
the
go a
meeting.
little bit younger.
I thought I put that in the group chat. But anyway, he's up for they said that he's up for Nova because he already had a meeting with them. But his thing is not wanting to do sequels. So that might be the only thing that, hinders him from being Nova, because if he's Nova, he's going to be in almost
But
every
that'd
movie
be
gone
dumb.
after that.
Unless he got
Sure,
enough
does
money
do sequels,
already.
does he?
If the way they doing
Do
deals at
sequels.
Marvel, and you say I just want a percentage,
You'll get it.
yeah.
I mean, that's interesting. Nova's another interesting character, though. Man. That would be cool to see on screen.
But it's like I see that double-edged sword though. Like some of these actors don't want to be associated with something that they got to continue to do when they want to do other passing projects.
Yeah, until they
and
not
other
getting
things.
casted,
But
and
also at
now
the
they
same
want a
time,
Marvel
I'm
deal.
like, how cool would it be to remember for something and you just keep doing it as long as you can, as long as you're physically able. That to me is cool. That's just because from an actor's perspective, like if I can continue to do something that people love and they want to see me doing it, I want to keep doing it until the wheels fall off.
And
It's
they're
like a
not
built-in
many-
gig too.
Yeah.
It's like, yo,
yeah.
I'm
You
this guy. So
you guarantee the role.
as long as you're gonna keep putting this guy in there, I'm gonna
Ride
be in there with him.
Ride just the wheels fall off.
The boy that's playing Hulk now is happy. He
Yeah.
like, I don't care if I get my own movie. I'm gonna keep getting these little checks
And
from these
Ruffalo
little
do-
feature roles.
But
I ain't
Ruffalo
got,
do other things. Like he can do
Yeah,
he
but
can do
he
this
also-
Ragnarok
but
and then
what-
do something that's
but
like
he-
Oscar nominated. He got the range.
correct. But he now is going to be mostly known for the guy that played the Hulk,
Yep. And, I
and
don't
he
think
took
he
it.
has-
He took that. He took it from
And Norton.
Ed
Ed Norton.
And just think, if he's the Hulk, right, and then he gets signed on to do a David O. Russell movie, he gonna bring all the MCU fans to watch that David O. Russell movie.
So that's a win-win for a studio. I mean, you bringing that audience to watch. If I'm
what's his name, Trevante Rhodes, and he's getting roles in movies. These movies are not doing numbers like Marvel movies.
True.
A lot of movies that's come out.
Marvel movies make it possible for those movies to fail.
But that's why that's why the other directors and producers not involved in Marvel don't like hero movies, because those are the movies doing the numbers during the summer, during the holidays. Those are the movies that's doing the numbers. Yeah. Scorsese,
we know how Scorsese feels.
He can't stand him.
Brian De Palma too, right? One he gets into.
But come on, Scorsese, how many gangsters can we watch die?
I mean, I look at it like this.
Like, I like a good gangster flick once in a while.
I love a good gangster movie,
but it ain't gonna do those numbers.
This is what kills me with some of this, though. I mean, at the end of the day, no matter if it's a superhero movie or if it's a gangster movie or if it's a drama movie, it's still acting. It's still art. You're still you're bringing a character to life that only you can actually see as.
But it's also a career for them. Yeah. And if I'm Trevante Rhodes and I want my name to be mentioned in other stuff, so I can get what was
off subject? That was my pick. If they was going to replace Chadwick Boseman to play Black Panther,
I don't know if he got it in him to do it yet, because he just started acting relatively recently in his life,
because he was on a series too, right? Wasn't he on one of them?
I don't know about a series, but when he came into on what's the one with the little boy, and he was growing up being gay in like the South.
Was it
Moonlight? That's where he got his. That's where most of that cast got their claim, because of it was award nominated for a lot of different things. But if I'm him, get me on there, because then I become a household face. And then once you become a household, we want you for this little HBO series, for this role.
Speaking of African Americans, ain't one of the things on here we get on to those the next Captain America director.
Let me. Where are we at? We spent a lot of time. So we talked about Jason Segel's the thing. Real quick. Kevin Feige sent some warning shots to Sony, letting them know, like, yo, y'all got to chill out, because y'all going to F it up for everybody. But, I mean, if y'all want to shoot y'all and stuff, y'all foot, y'all go ahead. But y'all going to fuck up everybody money in the end. So, I mean, I think we all kind of agree on that, and we'll let that be. But you were getting on to the Captain America director being selected, and he directed the Cloverfield Paradox.
Ooh, I didn't even see that. How was that either?
So I really like Cloverfield movies. I'm just a weird sci-fi kid like that, right? However, the last two Cloverfield movies were not intended to be Cloverfield movies. They were like standalone movies written to be that. When J.J. Abrams came in and was like, you know what, we're going to include this into a Cloverfield universe, so at the end we're going to just make sure we tie it in. But that was an afterthought after the movie was already made, the 10 Cloverfield Lane and the Cloverfield Paradox. So they were intended to be their own properties.
I'm trying to remember if I saw that. I remember watching Super 8 thinking
it was going to be tied in.
My favorite is the original Cloverfield. Exactly. The original movie
the original
was a
10 Cloverfield Lane was good though. It was well acted. It was well acted. 10 Cloverfield Lane with John Goodman.
And, I've seen some of that. I see
what happened in that one?
So they were in like a doomsday bunker. Like everybody thought the end of the world was happening, and she was in an accident. The main character was in an accident. John Goodman pulled her into his doomsday bunker and was basically telling her, yo, it's the end of the world happening outside. I saved you. And he got her locked up, though, so she can't just leave. She hurt.
I think I did see that one.
But at the end of the day, he went like war.
But he was also off his rocker. And he was like secretly like kidnapping little girls. And it was a girl that he had kidnapped prior.
R. Kelly.
Yeah. In this doomsday bunker.
Whoa.
So it was a good story. It was a good story. It was well acted.
Cause one thing I'll say about the first one, the first one was so good. I don't know if anybody really remembers the first one. I had actually got sucked into the pre-story before everything started happening.
I went on
about
that little tangent too.
the guy and the girl, and they were having a relationship
Ferris
and something, and then something happened, and when they're shooting the whole thing, and somebody's got the what was it, a farewell party? She got a job, something, and they were breaking up. I was engulfed in the story of like their relationship, of like the drama aspect, and then the monster stuff popped up, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's it." I was like, I want to know, was she going to break up with him? Was she taking a job? What was going on? Was there another man? I need these answers.
I'll say this about Cloverfield real quick. They had a real smart viral marketing campaign.
I thought it was going to be. Everybody thought it was going to be Voltron.
I heard it was Godzilla.
When I remember that coming out, there was a lot of speculation that this was a Voltron movie, and it was a monster to fight. That the Voltron was going to come to the rescue to like fight.
That would have been crazy.
You know what I did like about it too? They showed us the monster. It wasn't one of those ones you kind of see them. You see the tentacles. You see this. They let us see the monster. Yeah. Like some movies, I'm like, man, we ain't.
They saw what Blair Witch failed at, and did it their way.
But back on the subject, as Captain America film itself, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this, because Winter Soldier and
need to go in the garbage.
I was one of my favorites.
I don't have big hopes for this movie.
I'll put it
I think they should just kept it
Falcon,
a TV
right?
show. Yeah, I think they should just kept it as a TV show.
I want to see it just for that reason. I'm always interested in the unknown. I want to see how this plays out. I want to see how Anthony Mackie's going to really
lead his own film.
Lead his own character. For the reasons that people don't want to see it, that's the reason why I want to see it and succeed. We don't have a lot of black representation.
It could have been a different one.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. But check this, right? So what if in this movie, or we got Comic-Con in 2 weeks? So what if at Comic-Con, right, they bring out Mackie, Sebastian Stan, what's his name, Wyatt?
I don't think
Wyatt
it's that
Russell.
early yet. I think it's too early for that. But go ahead.
I'm just just saying, if they bring them out, right, and they're all talking, they're saying what they're gonna do. Kevin Feige do what he do best. Hey, oh yeah, we got one more person we meant to introduce as part of this film. Taron Egerton walks out with his hands, folded. All of a sudden he pulls his hands out, he got claws. And we get Wolverine in this movie.
Yeah, maybe. That's a far fetch. And the only thing that would save a black sorry, I was about to say Black Panther, a Falcon Captain America movie is a cameo or I honestly don't know none of his storyline.
Because some of it's supposed to take place in Wakanda. Like I think it's like the first half of the movie is supposed to be in Wakanda.
I feel like that's racist. He's Captain America, they're not Captain Wakanda. Let him stay in America and do what he got to do.
Well, we don't know what he's there for.
If we're supposed to believe that he is now Captain America and replace his role as Captain America as doing what's right, always, let him stay in America. Let him have a real threat. That's my problem. Is that I feel like they're gonna keep giving him these foot soldiers to fight.
Well, that's every Marvel film, though.
Yeah, but some villains are stronger than others. Right. So
every Marvel movie follows the same template. There's a guy who controls mindless things. That get killed
no.
in
I think his main villain is gonna be a foot soldier. It's gonna be the foot. It's gonna be the foot.
It should be
another one-off villain. So it's gonna follow the same template.
I would have felt better. I would have felt better if the Russo brothers was directing it. If the Russo brothers that directed Captain America and the Winter Soldier and the subsequent Avenger movies said, all right, we're going to stay on for the last Captain America property, I think, you know what? They're going to come up with a good-ass story. There's going to be some espionage shit. It's going to be more than just a superhero story into it. There's going to be some racism shit in there. They're going to make sure we connect to this character. This guy, I'm looking at his thing right now, he got 4 movies to his name. One of them, the main one, is Cloverfield Paradox. He has another movie with Octavia Spencer I've never seen before. Tim Roth is in it, who's playing Abomination. But I don't know if I got faith in him. We know, he coming back, and he probably going to be
better than the last time. I mean, he wasn't better than the last time.
Succeed just to see it succeed.
And I'm not doubting him.
My only beef for the Russos to produce anything is how they did the Hulk. I just gotta say that, man.
I'm not doubting them.
That's another story for
But
another
it's
day.
not giving me hope for a standalone movie for
Well,
him.
if we're talking about Falcon, you want to know my favorite Falcon moment in a movie? I think you know what my favorite Falcon. Oh, my favorite Falcon movie, favorite Falcon moment in the movie was Civil War, Captain America Part 2.5. After he accidentally shot Rhodey down, and then Tony came down to attend to Rhodey, and Falcon's trying to talk to him like, "Yo, Tony, I'm sorry." When he blasted the shit out of him, boom, out to the cornfield. That's my favorite Falcon moment. As you can tell, I'm not a big fan of Falcon.
Yeah,
Black or
again,
not.
We'll see.
I
How
ain't
this,
feeling the
We'll see
brother.
how this turn out. I didn't hate the series. I thought it was a decent series. They touched on racial, you know,
That was
pinpoint.
what drew me into that.
and they talked about some real world stuff, you know,
Yeah.
and some of the things that we thought as viewers watching, like, hey, how are we gonna go forward with a non-super enhanced black Captain America? And that's basically what they were trying to get
that
at.
monologue he did at the end of that was really
So
good.
I get
I
it.
thought it was
and
better.
I'm hoping the best.
I thought it was better than. For me, I thought it was better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And-
But it
and so-
also didn't put me in a spot where I was like, oh, I can't wait to watch the next one.
Correct. And part of the reason why is because you're also only as good as your best villain.
Yeah, and Zemo was
And Zemo really wasn't the villain.
No.
He was like he was like,
anti-hero.
yeah.
And they also got that girl listed as like number 3 as like the worst Marvel villains
Right.
on Watch Mojo.
So
So
It's
you know,
only
shout
as
out
good
Watch
as your
Mojo.
villain. So all right. Now we're about to get to. Go ahead. You want to got something else to say?
sorry,
Go ahead.
All right, real quick. I guess it'll probably be floating around on the news soon about, I guess, Arnold Schwarzenegger possibly
Oh yeah.
joining the MCU as Titanium Man in Armor Wars. I am all for this.
Yeah.
I am for it.
I am.
I don't got nothing bad to say for it
I
at the
am
moment.
for Arnold. I don't care if he's 69,
familiar face.
89, 109. It's just the fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger
I love
is
Arnold.
tailor made for this crap. I mean, from playing the character that who he's allegedly. This is all rumors right now. So if he's playing Titanium Man, it'll be a real good interesting character for him to see. And he may actually blast Rhodey in the legs just because of
I'll be okay
That'd
with
be
that.
cold-blooded.
That'll make me.
But
That'll
for
make me a
honestly,
fan.
and then we can change up the subject afterwards. Like for me, I honestly think that everybody who was an old school '80s action superhero or action film star need to be involved with the MCU in some capacity, because basically the MCU is that now what that used to be, except for now they're superheroes.
Say it one more time.
Van Damme.
I said I think that the '80s action films are what the superhero films are now, except for the difference is those guys. They weren't superheroes, but the guys now are superheroes.
Okay.
Like we've already had a Captain America, John Matrix. You know what I mean? So we already had a Shang-Chi, that was Frank Dukes. And we've already had, these kind of people. They just weren't superheroes. They ain't wear a mask. And they ain't have superpowers. Now they do. So I'm grabbing all of them. I'm getting Jackie Chan, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sylvester Stallone's already a part of the crew. You get Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude, Dolph Lundgren. If you can talk him into it, Steven Seagal, Wesley Snipes, everyone
Well, Wesley
who had a
started-
run.
Wesley
Everyone that
started
had a
the
run
MCU.
deserves another
If
one.
Wesley has a cameo or a role in Blade, I think
Fingers
everybody will be
crossed
happy.
on that one.
I think that has to be done
that has to be. I mean,
just for everybody who grew up.
if you really look at it, I mean, this would be a whole other subject for another day. But Wesley Snipes is responsible for a lot of these comic book movies getting made and getting able. We gotta say that for another day.
He's the first, if you want to be technical. He was the first.
That's a show in itself.
He apparently gave Marvel enough money off of that movie to stay afloat. They were tanking at the time.
Right, and just think that right before they did that, they was like, "Oh, we're bankrupt. Let's sell off our property." And then they produced Blade, and they had already given away their property. Just think if they'd have waited a month,
Yeah.
what could have been. But I think we're where we need to be.
So, I think we kind of gotta. Not everybody's seen it, so we're gonna try to keep this spoiler free as possible. All right, but I think it just needs to be talked on. Thoughts, critiques of Thor: Love and Thunder.
I ain't watched it yet.
We'll keep this spoiler free as possible.
So basically just a big opinion instead of
The
details.
logistics of it.
You don't have to go into specifics about certain things, but if you can say like, "Oh, I wish they would have done this better," or would have expanded on this character, or not done this, then yeah. But don't say exactly what happened.
I'll say this.
It's gonna be hard for you, brother.
It was after watching it and really thinking about it. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5 hammers. It's just some things in there that was forced that didn't need to be forced on. And if you see it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. 2, they went too comedy with it with me. I like a little bit more grit when I'm watching certain things. I don't mind the comedy aspect of it depending on what you're doing, but I need a little bit more grit to it. And they got some of it, but you can tell a lot of it was cut. They needed more Christian Bale in that thing. And that's not without spoiling it. You can tell what he was getting ready to do with this character. And I would like to see more if they have more footage of him. He was brilliant in it. But God, if I really want to say stuff on it,
We'll save. We'll do a spoiler-esque review maybe next episode or when we give people a chance to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just
I feel like I give them at least 2-3 weeks. So.
Or my opinion pretty much echoes. Like I think if you when you cast a guy with the magnitude of Christian Bale to be your villain for a film, you're not casting Christian Bale as just some guy that everyone likes. You're casting the guy from American Psycho, the guy from American Hustle, and all these other great films that he transplanted into that person that he's supposed to be. So when you get a guy of that magnitude, you have to give him way, way more to sink his teeth into than what they gave him. And to me, that's where I think they missed the boat. Out of that whole movie, all the Thor shenanigans that that happens, and the way how his character has evolved from being like that, I would say like a stage actor-ish kind of like Shakespearean type of person, until the person that like gives you a bunch of one-liners and lightens the tone, because they needed a character like that in the MCU at the time. They didn't have one, and who they got casted, Helmsworth's personality is like that, so he was perfect to do that. But to me, I think you got your core on what you already have. But for me, I think if you hire a guy like Christian Bale, you got to give him something way more to sink his teeth into. I think he turned into every villain that Marvel has.
And I think that was the one reason why he was kind of like, he came out publicly and said what he said was like, I really didn't see what I'm trying to write. Damn, Jason. I'm about to just say how it was.
You can't, because you still got people watching.
Yeah, you got folks that ain't seen it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It ain't just us now.
Oh yeah.
Shoot the whole.
Yeah, you about to screw it all
A
up.
lot that I want to say.
You got to paraphrase.
Keep it for the post.
Yeah,
post.
so.
Oh man, it's just like it's just a lot. That I'll wait till I'll give it another week.
Yeah,
Another week.
Make sure you write your plot points down, but.
And
We'll
then I only want to say one
$143
thing.
million in a week, and that mean everybody saw.
I want to say
Not everybody. So we just, we said with non-spoilers. So
I just want to say one
context,
thing, because I have not seen it, and nobody has to say yay or nay. It's completely just me saying something. This is Thor number 4. This is the 4th movie. I swear, if there's no acknowledgement, if there's no anything Beta Ray Bill related, I know, don't say anything, but if it's not, I'm gonna be upset, because there's 4 movies in, and y'all gonna give Thor Stormbreaker and what was that Endgame. You gonna give him Stormbreaker? Yo, that's Beta Ray Bill's weapon. Don't do that. But that's my
This
guy.
is the
I'm
loudest.
sorry. That's just my guy.
This is the loudest you came in on the mic I ever heard you.
Oh, my bad.
I mean, you meant that from your.
Yeah, it was in here, man.
It was in here. It was stuck in there.
My man, they need to put my man on.
But I think his character is one of the ones that when you introduce him, it's going to be to a big magnitude just because
Beta Rebuild.
Beta Rebuild.
Okay,
Folks are
sorry,
anticipating that.
Sorry to cut your dreams out. It ain't happening.
He'll be there.
It happened briefly in this one.
You know what I think the hold up is?
And
it's
it's
the
never
casting.
going to happen.
I think it's the
The
casting.
reason why it's never going to happen, well, at least for now, is because that damn Stormbreaker.
I was mad about that. Like when Stormbreaker, I was like, hold up.
Okay, so they do.
Unless
Thor?
some later on thing where he gets rid of it, but the reason why he had it was the whole point. Was the reason why Stormbreaker was created was because of Beta Rebuild. The reason that the all right, sorry, y'all about to make me forget my point. So, I got to bring something to you guys that I got from this person on IG, Fantastic Frankie on Instagram, where she said this latest Thor movie should have been Thor 2. Think about it in the terms of the feel of Thor 2, as opposed to how Taika Waititi, however you say his name,
Waititi
is doing his movies. And again, it was more comedy, I felt, than anything else. There was some other plot points. There was a little bit of drama, but it was, let's say, 60% comedy. Thor 2, who I think was helmed by like one of the Game of Thrones directors.
Yeah. I forgot his name.
Alan something.
If they gave that seriousness to a villain, to Christian Bale, in a serious tone movie where stakes were higher, people died. In Thor 2, Loki died. Thor's mother died. They could even what she said, they could have even killed off Thor's Odin. They could have killed Odin off because Hela could have still came in 3 because Odin died. And they could have still did a Thor 3 with Hela.
And that could have played off a better storyline
Of what happened in 2. Everything they could have even said, all right, well, certain factors from this movie about, what his goal was, we'll say Christian Bale's goal was, could have been tied into an Infinity Stone, right? We could have gave the same premise just to one of the Infinity Stones to reach the same goal. So
that would like shift who he was in the comic.
But they already shifted him.
I know. I
don't want to say too much.
Well, they can't. They only had to shift them because of certain things is owned by certain people. Yeah. But just that whole like I'm not against it, but I think if you start incorporating his character, dancing around Infinity Stones, that means every villain might have to dance around the Infinity Stones.
Not necessarily dancing, but he needed one per se to achieve a certain goal that he was trying to do. And I could talk to you after the thing to give out the specifics.
I would need more, yeah.
But just remember what he was trying to do in this movie. What was his goal to get to, right? One of those stones probably, they could have said, would have done the same thing. So
that's a hot take.
Maybe.
I
also will agree that they needed to give Christian Bale more screen time.
Yes,
I also was not afraid of him as a villain, which I think fucked up. Which they fucked up on because he should have been really menacing, in my opinion.
And I think you can tell some stuff.
It did get like that, and I was like, "Oh," because some parts I felt it,
but
then it went right away. It took it right away.
They made him a villain of the week, and somebody of a range of him, and the little bit that he was playing, I was like, "Man, this dude, he can play anything."
So
but it's Christian Bale. I mean, once you start thinking about his body of work, and like I know for me when they made the announcement that he was going to be playing, Gore the God Butcher, I didn't even know who Gore the God Butcher was, because I'll admit it, I was not a big comic book head until all this started going on.
I also felt
But just mentioning him, and if they would have said Christian Bale was going to be playing Thor, I'm going to be like, oh man, Christian Bale. It doesn't matter what he does, because the guy's that phenomenal of an actor, and you already know that the man lost all of his weight. Got down to 90-something pounds to do The Machinist, and then put on 100-something pounds to play Batman. So the dude has it in his body. Like they say, method acting is dangerous and it shouldn't be done or stuff like that. Some people have been saying that lately. But me personally, like that guy, when you cast him, you're casting greatness. And like I said, they just didn't give him enough to. They gave him, instead of giving him a whole pizza, they gave him a slice and expected him to be full.
yes.
Basically, what I think we're all in agreement is they wasted his talent.
Yeah, that's what I agree. I agree with that.
That's my opinion. You don't get Christian Bale just
Personally,
be a spot filler for something like this.
I personally don't agree that
That
Taika
was my
Waititi should have been the director.
Yeah, I think the run's done.
Yeah.
I think the comedic aspect and the seriousness of Gore doesn't
No.
it doesn't help each other out. It cancels
Yeah.
each other's out.
Yeah.
So
And,
I mean, we'll see where they go forward with it. I feel like it was a missed opportunity for Benny the Butcher to be on the soundtrack.
It's big time.
You said Benny the Butcher. Oh my goodness.
I think it should have been a little line that said "the butcher coming," and they could have cut out the nigga, but the butcher coming.
Yeah, well, to jump on something you just said and something you was talking about, just talking about movies in general, I'm a big believer in, like, even if you have something that's a little lighthearted, and it's got a lot of sequels, it starts off lighthearted stuff, I'm a fan of it getting, like, if it calls for it to get darker as it goes.
Yeah.
Like, the Thor movies got funnier as they went versus, I feel like,
That's opposite.
And he just reminded me because I said I got to come back to it in 10 minutes.
because like, I'm a Harry Potter fan. The first couple, like Harry Potter, the whole series
felt
is dark.
like kid movies.
The first two, it's like a kid,
Right,
little dark kid movie. Part 3 and on, it gets
different.
darker,
It felt
and
different.
3 is my favorite one.
It felt different.
And that part 3 is when it shifted to, this is with the Dementors and all that. I was like, this is getting dark, and then all the stuff, and then as it went on, then you had people dying and more people dying, and I feel like that's how a series. And then when you finally get Voldemort and all that, it was all the way dark. That's how I like how movies
A good example.
go.
A great example. And part of it we'll have to save for the spoiler review. But yeah, I agree. So
Yeah, like I said, I think the run is done. If you do a Thor 5, if you want Taika Waititi involved, then I see you ask him, for script notes and say, hey, what do you think, this person would do and that person, but I think if you get a new voice, on that set, I think it's better.
This is the one rare time where, it's no secret that Marvel hijacks the film on a third act. This is one time they should have hijacked the movie from him from the first act.
But they've been.
I think they thought the formula worked. I think they thought the success of Thor 3 was going to replay itself into this one.
I don't.
I forgot who I was telling. I think I was telling you, Jay, that this phase of what's going on right now is the least Kevin Feige has been involved, and the least that the uppers in Marvel have been involved, and it's the least liked out of all the phases. So for me, it's like
I want to save it for the spoiler review, but it's also where the hell are we, and where are we going right now?
Yeah,
it's a lost feeling.
Yeah.
They calculated the amount of hours of story time told. It was 55 hours of story time told. That is twice as long as the screen times of all the previous phases, including up to Infinity War and Endgame.
I don't think.
And we got the whole saga in less time than we got since Endgame because they included the TV shows, they included the movies and the series. And where are we? Where are we? Nobody's progressing.
That's the problem with Marvel right now. I think they threw all their eggs in a basket after Endgame, and it's just like
I think they're buying
on a
time.
hangover right
I
now.
think they're buying time. They're waiting. They waited to make sure they got Fox,
Yep.
and now they were like, "Look, we got what we want to tell in the future. but we have to kind of transition.
And
We got stuff in between we can do as fillers. I feel like this is a fillers period happening right now. We're just getting filler until the one series actually transitions us into the new Fox Marvel.
And also don't forget, how these things actually work in real life. It might be 6, 7, 8 months ahead of time that they've already casted these people. They've already had table reads. They're already, prepping their staff, the first unit, second unit, stunt coordinators. All those people are hired 6, 7 months prior to them even saying action on day one. So they got all that stuff already done and was probably already mapped out before they even acquired the people from Fox. Yeah. So it's like you said, all this stuff is just straight filler until they're able to say, now we got free range to do whatever we want. Now, so we're about to do this Echo series. Let's give the people a little bit of what's to come, and let's hire or let's cast Gambit's step parents or his adopted parents for this movie to get people excited to know that the Gambit's coming.
Do I care about Gambit's step parents?
But do you? But no. Do you care about them, or do you want to build anticipation?
No, I don't want no more. Because that's teaser. That's what they've been giving us. But it's no direction. There's no direction.
They did 10 years of building something.
We had a whole Eternals movie that plotted or hinted at about 3 different plots: Blade, Celestials.
There you go.
And Thanos and his relatives. We don't know shit about Celestials. Internals right now. There's a whole head sticking out of Earth that no other movie has addressed.
And I thought they were going to do it, but
what the fuck?
But at the same time, we already said this, and I don't care I like Eternals.
I don't care about Gambit. I want to know
but it didn't mean
when.
Anything.
Wolverine coming, goddammit. Say, oh shit. Give me a real post credit or something. Don't give me no bullshit. They have Thor 4 had something where they could have hinted at a lot more than what they hinted at. Yeah. And I'm glad I'm okay.
That shit. Big time. Like I said, I'm not.
But that's why I said that's the point I was trying to make is that all this other stuff, the stuff that we're seeing now and we're upset about it. I don't feel like it's not. I just believe that they already had it planned out and they already had people hired.
I feel like this is all filler episode we're saying right now.
I'm just the guy that played. All right, take for example, the guy that's playing Adam Warlock was already hired 6 months to them announcing that he was playing him.
And he was already now hear what I'm saying. Adam Warlock is 3 years too late. For him to have 6 months, that mean he 2.5 years late.
Do you do page
2 years
for page? Do you do page for page? You can't, and you really can't do page for page.
What is his role? What is his role now? That
we're gonna find out, but you can't do page for page.
It's because Aisha created him, and now they're gonna.
Yeah, that's where my whole thing was.
So what is the point of bringing him in there? Fuck Adam Warlock now. I don't care about Adam Warlock because you know why I cared about Adam Warlock because of his role in the Infinity Saga.
Well, they kind of gave that division,
Infinity Saga. Yeah,
they kind of gave his what he was.
So I don't give a fuck about Adam Warlock now. He 3 years too late. I'm done with the.
So let's hold you to that. Are you standing on that? Because if you like Guardians 3 and you like his part, what are you going to say then?
I'm okay with him being Adam Warlock, but I felt the ball was dropped. Just as the ball was dropped with Beta Ray Bill, just as the ball was dropped with Silver Surfer being introduced, just as the ball dropped with a bunch of other stuff they did. It's okay because they have to deal with what they have control over. But don't come in here and tell me, we're introducing gimmicks. I don't give a fuck about gimmicks. Mother, stepfather, whoever.
But if it
ain't even his real parents, who cares?
I'm sorry. I ain't got nothing else to say about it. I got nothing else to say.
Look. We're at.
It's not worth it.
We're about to hit an hour 20, so let's wrap this up.
I care about
any final thoughts? Any final thoughts?
They was just trying to get a check. Foster parents just trying to get a check. Like, man, he heating up the. He in here burning up the cars. What's he doing? We about to give him back to the orphanage.
I'm good because I just had a whole Zoom call about how this process works.
Okay,
I'm done. I'm done.
Any final thoughts for tonight?
I'm done.
You good, Jason?
I got nothing. Go see Thor 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna go try to see Thor 4 within the next week. Try to. I'm saying if ain't no Beta Ray Bill action, I'm gonna be coming in here looking crazy. Like 4 movies and we couldn't bring him in sometime. Like,
Hey, maybe 2 years from now,
Right.
we'll get him.
look, there, where's his head at? Where he about? Oh, he blocking it.
Julian.
I just said they literally just wasted Christian Bale, in my opinion. But we'll see where they go from here.
All right, well, I guess we'll call that an episode. We were just under 120, so
And where's Galactus?
we'll get there. If one thing I'm confident on is we'll get to Galactus.
Yeah,
So,
I'm hoping.
all right, well, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and we'll call it a day until next time.
Peace.
Wu-Tang's for the children.
Who watches the watchers?
Peace.